Unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
SHW. This is our wrestling.
This is insane. Are you kidding me right now? Hey, what is going on here? The action is fast and furious. You never know who's going to show up in SHW.
Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
Business is about to pick up. This place just went ballistic. What is up, everybody? It's that time of the week again. Time for the official SHW podcast. SHW, this is our wrestling. B-double Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, and the lovely Diana Michelle down there. How is everybody doing this week?
Hey, it's popping, man. It's popping. Ready to get this going.
All right. I'm doing great. And in case nobody has heard yet, it's hot.
A little bit.
It's hot. Yeah.
A little bit.
A little hot.
Well, you know what? We are exactly 1 week away.
1 week. 7 whole days.
Oh.
And not a word from you. Sorry, Tony Braxton. My bad. Carry on. Carry on. These things just randomly happen, folks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm excited because it's time for SHW 30, which is also known as the 3rd annual SHW RumbleJack. Let's get ready to rumble Jack.
Yeah.
I just can't wait. We've been talking about it for weeks, obviously. And each week we've seen, several announced entrants. And each week we get a little more and more excited. Who's it going to be? This week we had a handful more announcements. I don't know for certain, but I think that might be all of the official announcements until next Friday. And then at that point, because we know there's still a number of slots left.
Yes.
We were not given a full 30, and we were told that it might not even just be 30. It could be more than 30, and we don't even know that yet. So SHW is always full of surprises. You just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I don't know what we want to do here exactly, guys. Do we want to have a little pick'ems? Do we want to talk about the new entrants we found out about this week?
All of the above.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So let's start out with earlier this week. Monday, I believe it was, we found out that the gentleman that completely brutalized Jordan Kingsley at the last show. I don't even know if gentleman could be applied to this guy because there's nothing gentle about him. That'd
be an interesting moniker. Cyrus the Gentleman.
The Gentleman, Cyrus.
That's right.
A little top hat and a monocle.
With a bow tie and
like what's the peanut guy?
Yes, the peanut guy. Oh boy.
I'm not saying that again. He might come in.
And yeah, let's be clear. We're not calling Cyrus the Destroyer the peanut guy. We're not. We just had a little imagery with Cyrus the Gentleman. That's why he's not Cyrus the Gentleman. Oh God. B-Dub, you're getting us in all kinds of trouble.
I'm just digging.
Just dig.
Just digging a hole. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cyrus the Destroyer.
Did you forget, B-Dub, when you had mishandled the jacket of Logan Chase and Cyrus almost put you through a table?
And I was glad that I wore my dark pants that night.
Woo.
Because I was in the heat of the moment. He threw his jacket at me. I threw it back on the floor without thinking that Cyrus was right off to the right and saw what I did. And he approached the table snarling, like steam coming out of his nostrils and his ears. And oh boy, that was I immediately regretted my decision.
Let me tell you guys something. It's one thing when you watch him in the ring. It's another thing when he shows up 2 feet away from you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Breathing down your neck.
Breathing fire. No.
I'll keep my distance,
he is Cyrus the Destroyer. He's not a gentleman.
Exactly.
He is not a piece.
That was funny though. I'm
It was
sorry,
kind of
but
funny. It's
yeah.
a funny visual. But
It is a
anyways,
very funny visual.
let's
Ooh.
move on from that and
Please,
talk about
before we
the
die a
fact.
1,000 deaths.
Talk about the fact that he was entered into the RumbleJack. We
boy.
know he's in a foul mood just from what he did at SHW 29 and the brutal attack he had on Jordan Kingsley. We also know that King. Well, yeah. Well, I assume he attacked him because he lost the match the month prior, and got Logan Chase sent over to the All-Star Special. Yeah. And so we're speculating that I guess maybe Chase sent him after Kingsley. I mean, I don't know. Cyrus could have done it on his own, but who knows? We've always heard Chase has always called Cyrus like his weapon of whatever he calls him, his personal weapon.
Instrument of destruction.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I do know that Kingsley is also in the RumbleJack. Assuming he can't win the title, because I believe the title match will be before the RumbleJack when Kingsley takes on David Ali. Right. If Kingsley wins that title, then perhaps David Ali will then enter the RumbleJack. Wow. I don't know.
That is so interesting.
But what I'm curious about is if Kingsley is in the RumbleJack, will he have his sights set on Cyrus for a little modicum of revenge? Or would he steer clear after what happened last month?
I don't know. I think that he would wait maybe so Cyrus could be distracted with some other entrance and then takes a couple of shots maybe. Because he's fast. I mean, and he's had a month to heal. And I mean, he's going to have that championship match. So, of course, he's going to be a little tired. But I don't know. I don't think he's just going to let it lay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are two interesting things that come to mind. First, mentioning Jordan, how difficult must it be to prepare for SHW 30? Like, on one hand, you've got to prepare for the championship. And really, you kind of have to put all of your energy, all of your eggs in one basket. Earlier this week, there was a national day called National All or Nothing Day. And the whole design of it is go big or go home. It is a national day. And so for him, he's got to go big because you can't, the Olympic season is here. This is like, okay, do I run the marathon or do I run the sprint or do I prepare for the decathlon, right? That's the championship situation he's in. And so he's to me, I'm like, I can't prepare for the RumbleJack because I'm preparing for the title match.
Right.
If he loses that title match, I don't think he wants to see Cyrus. I wouldn't want to see Cyrus. And speaking of Cyrus, let's just kind of do a little history. Cyrus was not in the RumbleJack last year because he wasn't even a part of SHW last year. Cyrus shows up October, November, comes and literally breaks the ring, crushes, of course, Huckabee. Then all of a sudden in December, he ends up in the championship scramble for the vacant SHW championship. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because that served as the lone opportunity for Cyrus to become the SHW champion. And for many accounts, he was the favorite to win that match had he not been distracted by Huckabee. So let's fast forward here. He's had a revolutionary opportunity. It seems like the Honor Society is no more, perhaps. There are no more distractions right now for Cyrus and the SHW championship. All he has to do is go through maybe 30 other people. Well, he's not number one. He might be number two. I don't know. But what we do know is this: Cyrus going through people is probably a lot easier than anybody else trying to go through people. So Cyrus's addition to this RumbleJack completely changes the complexion of the RumbleJack.
Like a Brock Lesnar kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You can make that comparison. Like it is really one of those scenarios where he's unbeatable. Nobody's put his shoulders to the mat, right? So how do you beat somebody like this? And how do you throw him over the top rope?
With help.
With a lot of help.
I was thinking that as well. It's going to take, if Kingsley does get involved with Cyrus, he's going to want to make sure there's other people helping him.
If he makes it to the RumbleJack.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
exactly. I even saw on social media Sunny Days talking about luckily he'll have his Southern Fried Tag Team Championship partner in the ring to help for instances like with Osiris.
Yeah, which they will need that because we're not taking Cyrus out by ourselves.
No.
And I don't know if of anybody right now in SHW who can do it by themselves. So good luck.
A lot of momentum and gravity, Bubba.
Yeah. And don't let Cyrus end up getting a later number. If he gets a later number, look out, world.
Well, and see, that's something too we haven't really talked about a lot the last couple of weeks is that we don't know the order of the entrants other than the first two. We know that Owen Knight, unfortunately for him, him and Mac lost the match last month. That made him the number one entrant. And we also found out that our friends with Immortal Tattoos who have sponsored the number two entrant, but we don't know who that is. But we know that it's filled by somebody we've heard all these announcements, so we know it's not one of those guys. I don't know. So we know that the top two or the first two spots are taken. Other than that, 3 through 30 or 3 through 30 plus are wide open. We don't know. Your guess is going to be as good as ours the night of the show as they're coming out and making their entrances. So it's gonna. What's that?
No way. Is there absolutely no way AC Mac could enter at all, even as a secret?
Well, that was the stipulation. The stipulation of last month's match when he lost. The person that got pinned is automatically disqualified from entering the RumbleJack. So Mac, shockingly, it's hard to fathom a RumbleJack without AC Mac in it. Again, I said he wasn't in the first one, but he was there because he was the champion and he was on commentary throughout the match. And then, of course, he was in last year. So, it's crazy to think he won't be there this year. So, it won't be Mac. But not only was Cyrus announced this week, we had a handful of other guys, a couple of guys who have made, one appearance each, I think, in SHW over the last few months. I'm talking about Skrilla and CT Keys. Both of those guys have been here in some form or fashion over the last few months and have looked impressive.
They have.
Although they both, I believe, ended up on the losing side of their matches. But I'm excited to see both of them back in an SHW ring because during the shows that they were at, we even said off air and probably on air, I hope we see these guys again. Because I liked what I saw. I was very impressed with both of these guys. So you never know. What do you guys think? Skrilla, CT Keys?
I'm a Skrilla fan. I love Skrilla. And I like CT. But I mean, I'm tight. I'm pretty tight. I like to say I'm tight. I'm really good friends with Skrilla.
Okay.
Skrilla. And he's got so much potential. I mean, I feel like I've known him since when he really, really started getting into professional wrestling, but he's come such a long way and he's proven so many people wrong. And I would love to see him do well in this RumbleJack. Totally would.
You just said an interesting term, and that is do well, which, I think obviously the main goal of this whole thing is to win it. And I think one thing that's important when we look at, people who may or may not have gained wins in SHW or have a winning record, et cetera, this is not that kind of match.
Right.
This match isn't about pinning shoulders to the mat, perhaps until the very end, right? This match is about either throwing your opponent over the top rope or avoiding being thrown over the top rope. Truth be told, it's just a great statistic if you've eliminated the most amount of people in a RumbleJack. But what it's not is a guarantee that you're going to win the RumbleJack. I think it is very important that guys like Skrilla and guys like CT Keys, who some may not be thinking about in terms of winning it, I think they get the opportunity to shock the world. Absolutely. They get the opportunity to shock the world. As we were mentioning with Cyrus, order of entry could be the name of the game here.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Can you imagine a scenario where you're number 28, right? And there obviously are not 27 other people in the ring. And whoever else,
if that happens,
my Lord,
it's not impossible.
No,
but it's pretty improbable.
It is pretty improbable, right? So you got a scenario where the later you enter, the better your chances of winning are, because people have been in there a while. They are tired. They are battered. They are bruised. You get to come in as the fresh man or woman and wreak havoc. And I think for Skrilla and CT Keys to be able to come in potentially with a late entry, they could shock a lot of people at this whole deal. Because remember, anybody can win this thing. And when we say anybody, we mean anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are guys what's that?
It only takes a moment to put your stamp on SHW.
That's right. And they say, in typical singles matches or tag team matches, they say it only takes 3 seconds.
It only takes 3 seconds.
In this case, it can only take 1 second as long as they get the guy over the top rope.
That's true.
We'll see. But speaking of which, and a quick refresher, I believe we went over the rules last month. But when it comes down to the final 2,
yes,
then it becomes pinfall submission or over the top rope with both feet hitting the floor. So,
correct.
I just love this match because it's so unpredictable. So many different ways it could go. It's just going to be awesome. And we were talking about 2 guys right there who have made 1 appearance each, I believe 1 appearance each in SHW in the last few months. The next 2 guys I'm going to mention are making their SHW debuts. And you talked about how crazy it could be, shocking the world if CT Keys or Skrilla end up winning this thing. What about these guys that are making their debut at the RumbleJack? And a couple guys that were announced this week, Luka Daniels and Danny Only. 2 guys that I got to be honest, I'm not super familiar with. I've heard the names. Diane, I believe you might know 1 or 2 of these guys from other promotions. But what would that say? What kind of impact would that make for these guys to come in night 1 and shock the world and win the RumbleJack? That'd be something else.
Be crazy. And I don't know a whole lot about either one of these guys. I did work with Danny only once. He's quite a character, actually. He had purple fur boots. I mean, they were up to his knees, and I just couldn't stop watching his feet. And I was like, he's got cowboy boots and fur, like I don't know, like leg warmers or something. They were huge. It was crazy, but I mean, he was very entertaining. He was against Sal in this particular match at speaking of Sal, but it was good, and I didn't really expect to see him at SHW, but you just never know. You just never know. I did run into him last month. I didn't realize why.
I was gonna say, and fans with a keen eye, when they see him again, they might recall him getting run over in the front row by one heathen.
Yes.
Logan Creed, or whatever he's being called now.
I believe there's a video somewhere of him laid out on the floor after he got smashed by Logan Creed as he made his way to the ring at the end of that show. I don't know if it's IWTV or a fan, but I did see him just sprawled out, and they was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "That's Danny Only."
But his next time in the Action Building, he's gonna want to do a little bit better than that. That he doesn't want that to be his mark that he leaves in the Action Building.
So I want to go back to something Diana said earlier, because I started on it and I forgot it, and that's the whole idea of doing well in the RumbleJack. When we think about first timers to SHW, my mind immediately goes back to a certain first timer who took it upon himself to campaign for 40 days and 40 nights to make his way into SHW. Whether it was a podcast being hacked, or he bought a ticket, or he did whatever he had to do on the socials, he made his way into the RumbleJack, an unlikely person. And while he didn't win the RumbleJack, what he did do was eliminate one of the odds-on favorites to win, that being Gunnar Miller. I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah,
I screamed, because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And when we turn around for SHW 30 next Friday, same said person is going to get an opportunity at the SHW Tag Team Championships. So when we talk about the impact of a newcomer to SHW, we may not know their names right now, But in 7 days, we could be calling them eliminating one of the odds-on favorites. We could be calling them as one of the final two. We could be calling them as the number one contender, and who knows where that will lead. We can talk, and we'll talk a little bit later about just how the RumbleJack has impacted certain competitors in SHW. Of course, Hold My Beer Hansen being one of them. He was a first-timer making his SHW debut in the RumbleJack. So for these gentlemen and all of those who will be debuting, and there are several who will be debuting, what a great way to come into SHW and to make an impact so that people will remember you for years to come. We had no idea that at the RumbleJack that Hold My Beer Hansen would become the merch king and would be, on his way to the tag team titles, perhaps. Who knew, right? So we may be having this conversation about one of these newcomers or bulk of these newcomers in the coming weeks. It all depends on what happens next Friday. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be intriguing times. And again, the luck of the draw is going to be the key here.
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely awesome. I cannot
So
wait.
good.
And of course, that was not the final one that we heard about this week. Another gentleman just announced this week entering the RumbleJack is a guy that I think a lot of us were shocked did not walk out of last month's show as the SHW champion. Of course, I'm talking about the killerweight, Joe Black, who's coming off of a title loss last month to David Ali, but he's going to have his opportunity one more time here if he can get in there and become a two-time RumbleJack winner as he won it last year.
Yes.
And then would go on to win the title from Corey Hollis. So could we have a repeat here of Joe Black going all the way and winning this thing? Again, the number placement is key here. We know he won't be 1. We know he won't be 2.
Or do we know that?
Where could he fall? Well, we know that.
Could he be the sponsored? Could he be the sponsored person by?
That's a good point. I was under the impression that it was somebody that wasn't already announced that was going to be the surprise number 2 entrant.
But they could. I mean, I don't know who they have access to.
It's pro wrestling, and we talked about this off air. GB, swerves are a thing in pro wrestling.
They are a thing. And, not to cut you off, but here's an interesting thought. Immortal Tattoos, longtime supporters of SHW. Yeah. And, to have the opportunity, think about it, I believe this is the first time ever that a group of people have sponsored someone entering the RumbleJack. So the question,
to my knowledge, yeah.
So the question is, who do they sponsor? Do they sponsor someone not in SHW? Do they sponsor perhaps one of their favorites in SHW? I don't know. The field's wide open, and it could be Joe Black. Getting back to your point, I don't know.
I have a guess, but
do you? Do you want to make that guess public, or you want to just hold on to it?
I mean, I don't know what he's going by now, but Logan Creed's not been announced.
Oh,
that's a great point.
Wow.
That's a great point. So I was going to bring that up a second ago when I talked about Danny only getting laid out in the front row last month.
Oh, boy.
He got laid out by none other than Logan Creed. We haven't heard anything about him. What is the deal? This is my Seinfeld impression. What's the deal with Logan Creed?
I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely keeping my distance as much as possible this time. I mean,
will he be there though? We don't even know. He hasn't been announced, but like we said, we've got a number of slots still open, so that doesn't mean he won't be there. But it also doesn't mean he will be there.
But as you said, Immortal Tattoo guys did say this guy's going to beat David Ali for the championship, and I mean, he's to me, he's still in this whatever brawl with David Ali from the whole thing. I don't think he's got his redemption yet. Maybe that's why he's going off the edge. I mean, I don't know. I'm not counting that out though. I mean, I'm kind of sticking that for a while. I'm gonna have to see it.
This gets very interesting. The Logan Creed piece. I'm nervous because Logan Creed coming in at number 2 changes the complexion of this entire RumbleJack, because I don't see the ring getting cluttered if Logan Chase is number 2. Logan Creed, excuse me. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just
Logan
had a
Chase,
funny,
I'm sorry.
I had a funny visual of Logan Chase. No offense, Logan.
Let's take Logan
Well,
Chase.
listen, Logan Creed. If Logan Creed is number 2 in this thing, there are going to be bodies flying everywhere.
Right.
We
And
saw
then when
that at the.
comes out, it's just going to be monster and monster.
Well, quite frankly, if ever Logan ends up in the RumbleJack, bodies are going to be flying. It doesn't matter when he enters.
Right.
And so, if he is one of the mystery people, let's just go back and do the math. Go back to RumbleJack number 1. RumbleJack 1 that he should have won.
Right.
And he was cheated out of by Corey Hollis. Corey Hollis, of course, went on to become the SHW champion. Last year, Joe Black went on to become the SHW champion. We saw a bit of chicanery happen when Logan Creed had his title shot. It was more than a bit of chicanery. We thought he won the championship. It was some sort of weird technicality. He got disqualified. His face got burned, and he's been forever changed. Right. So who knows? Like I'm frightened. And then if we get back to Joe Black, which it's my fault we went on this long tangent. I apologize. But Joe Black has a very interesting, again, case. Here's perhaps, well, really, he's one of only 2 people in all of pro wrestling that knows what it's like to win the RumbleJack. He knows what it's like to be in there with multiple people. He knows the endurance that's necessary. He knows how his mind has to switch from throwing people out and surviving to going on the aggressive part and winning and having to make your opponent tap out or make your opponent submit. He knows what that's like. Nobody else, him and Corey Hollis are the only 2 people on the planet that knows what it's like to win it. So could he win it again? Absolutely. And this time, I think he would know what it would take to become SHW champion, whether the champion is David Ali or Jordan Kingsley at the end of the night. So I don't bet against Joe Black. When you hear him in there, that again changes the complexion. We had some game-changing people enter the RumbleJack this week.
Yeah.
Never go out.
And let's just go back real quick and kind of recap who all has been announced thus far over these last 3 weeks or so that we've been, it's almost been like a 3-week preview of the RumbleJack because we're so excited and we kept getting new information every week as far as who the new entrants were. But early on, we heard about Judas. Earlier, you mentioned Corey Hollis, right? We haven't heard about Corey Hollis, but we've heard about his partner Judas from Lethal Poison is going to be in the RumbleJack. By the way, Corey Hollis, kind of like a Logan Creed. Never heard an official entry. Does that mean he might be there, or does that mean for sure he won't be there? We don't know. Corey Hollis has been there the last couple of years, so it'd be kind of like when I said AC Mack, surprised to not see him in the RumbleJack. I'd be kind of surprised to not see Corey Hollis there, but I don't know.
Right.
But his partner will be from Lethal Poison, Judas. Judas will be there. Kingsley, we talked about. He was announced early on, and then he was given a title shot by Todd Sexton. So if he doesn't win the title, he'll end up in the RumbleJack later in the night. However, I assume if he does win the title, I guess that means Ali would possibly take his place and Ali would enter. Oof. We don't know. We'll see what happens when we get there. Ashton Starr, Zicky Dice, Owen Knight, we found out, will be number 1, we mentioned. Carly Bravo, who's somebody that's making waves all over the Southeast right now. We've seen him on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. And you and I have seen him, GB, at the Nightmare Factory a number of times. Yeah. This will be his debut. We talked about other guys making their debuts and what kind of shock it would be if they could win this thing in their debut. It would be insane. It would be insane. GB, prepare yourself. You might want to cover your ears. We found out Nasty Leroy will be entering this thing. There's the face I was expecting. But I'm just going through the list here. Let's see. The tag teams, you mentioned the tag team titles. It's going to be Tech X versus All-Star Special. And then after that match, both members of Tech X, Kyle Matthews, Chip Day, are entering the RumbleJack, as well as Hanson and Huckabee entering the RumbleJack. Which of those sets of guys will still be or will become the tag champs going into the RumbleJack. It could be a huge night for any four of those guys.
That's right. That's
because they could be holding a tag title and become the #1 contender for the SHW title. Will Caution is a guy that was announced. And Will Caution, we talked about this off air. I believe I saw where he just won the Anarchy title, I believe. So he's coming in with some momentum.
Is he trying to be a belt collector?
Well, there you go. Could be the Georgia Indie belt collector. Who knows?
I tell you.
Gunnar Miller, you mentioned earlier how Hanson shocked everyone and eliminated Gunnar Miller last year. So, he's going to be coming back wanting to win this whole thing and put that embarrassment behind him from what happened last year. Another debut, Dylan McQueen coming in, who's we've seen him on AEW. And
I like Dylan McQueen.
And he is very entertaining.
Very entertaining.
We've seen him at the Nightmare Factory as well.
Yeah.
We've seen him on AEW. And, of course, he's been around the Southeast and got a lot of people talking. A lot of buzz around Dylan McQueen. Sal Renaro, Sunny Days. We've seen that they're tag team champions in Southern Fried right now. So you got to imagine if they're in the ring together, there's a little bit of a bond there. They could be helping each other out. And then, of course, it'll be every man for himself. So eventually they'd have to go head to head, but we'll see. Here's one that completely shocked me. Although I guess I shouldn't be super shocked because he surprised us all when he entered the RumbleJack last year. Our very own cameraman from Kind Punk, Nathan Mowry, who just he handed off the camera last year. And it was like before he even got in the ring, he pulls the table out, goes to get in the ring. He gets in the ring. Logan Creed proceeds to chokeslam him through that table that he set up. And it didn't work out too well. However, the big thing this year, the big difference, you guys are familiar with Luther, Dr. Luther from AEW. Apparently, he spent the last several months training Nathan down at the Nightmare Factory.
Really?
So Nathan is coming in this year with a whole new mindset and actual training under his belt. You talk about shocking the world. You talk about a wild card or a dark horse. How insane would it be if Nathan Mowry somehow, and again, the number placement is key here.
Yeah.
Who's to say he doesn't come in at number 30 or 29 or somewhere late in the game?
Right.
Could you imagine? And we love Nathan. But could you imagine him coming into this thing and going on to face the SHW champion at some point?
I can tell you that some of the pundits would have a cow.
Yeah.
They would have a complete cow. But, again, this is the unpredictable nature of this. And I can't stress this enough. We may have our favorites in our mind, but we have no idea what the order looks like. We have no idea what, these men and women potentially will have gone through that night to get there or in the match. And again, it's one of the reasons why, it's one thing on paper. It's another thing when they get in the ring because all sorts of things can happen. And so, I have learned nothing is far-fetched. If you had told me December of last year that our SHW champion would be David Ali and that at this particular point he'd still have the belt and be more dominant than ever, I would have called you crazy.
Yep.
So, yeah. Nathan Mowry could be the man.
Could be. It could be.
I mean, hey, he's got the resume. He sits down and plays video games with Sting. Now, if you think that all they do is play video games, you're crazy. If you have the Hall of Famer and that legend there, you've got to be getting some pointers from him. He could be the sleeper that nobody's paying attention to.
That would be
absolutely
awesome. That would be so.
It would be.
It could be. It could be the case. And you're right. I mean, he's hung out with Sting. He's done work with AEW that we know about. So any number of those guys, he could have gotten, picked their brain a little bit and got some advice or some training. Yeah. I just don't know. It's just, like we said, RumbleJack, the most unpredictable match. Anything and everything can and probably will happen at this match. It's going to be insane. But let's not forget. And then we'll circle back around if we might want to do maybe a pick'ems here before we wrap things up. But let's not forget there will be 3 other matches on this card. We mentioned the title match between Ali and Jordan Kingsley. We mentioned the tag title match, Technical Excellence versus the All-Star Special, which that's got a lot of people buzzing.
Yes.
I'm super excited about that one because it's one of those things where I'm really curious how the crowd will react to this match because you have two big-time fan favorites. So who will the crowd side with in this thing?
I have an idea for the song that's in the jukebox.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us now, or
I'm gonna put it out there. I don't know if I'm on it like, AC Mac, but here's something that I think makes sense, which for them might, be what they want to have as the tone of the night. I think it's Queen. We Are the Champions. I think that's what we're gonna hear in the jukebox, and the melodious sounds, of course, of Hold My Beer Hanson.
I wondered that, and I thought about, last month I want to say they had Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus at one point, and then maybe later in the night they had
when they came out to help Tech X.
Yeah, what was it? Was it Springsteen?
Born in the USA.
Yes, Born in the USA.
Mm-hmm. Right. So perhaps maybe they come out to like We Will Rock You, Queen.
Yeah.
and then if they win, they leave to We Are the Champions.
The way you think there, B-Dubs.
I don't know. But then on the other hand, they might not win. And it could be Technical Excellence. But maybe they'll have the jukebox prepared ahead of time.
I don't know. Technique.
It's a party regardless. It's going to be a party.
It is going to be a party.
Now, GB, you're right. You just mentioned Don't Sweat the Technique. Now, that's my favorite theme song out of all of SHW.
Me too.
So if we have to hear that twice, I am totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Man, we could hear it 3 times.
You're right, because one of those guys could go on to win the whole thing.
And that's not hard to believe either.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're exactly right. Two of the most technical, I mean, obviously they're called Technical Excellence for a reason, but two of the most technically sound wrestlers in all of indie wrestling, Kyle Matthews, Chip Day. I mean, either one of those I could see going on and winning this whole thing.
What a match that would be.
But here's the thing to think about, though. In a RumbleJack style match, not a whole lot of technical wrestling going on. The goal is to not try to submit the guy until the very end.
Right.
When it comes down to the final 2, you could do that.
Right.
But in the meantime, you're just trying to throw people over the top. So
well, and it's funny that you mentioned that because I know we're probably going to get more into analysis and things like that. But, when we start thinking about who this match favors and who it doesn't, one of the style of wrestlers that I think will have a hard time in this match are those who are used to being high flyers.
Yeah.
Those who are used to spending time on the top rope and things like that. So I think about a Kingsley, at sometimes that's Chip Day and, a few others that could potentially fall in there. When your default is to hit the ropes for any reason, you become an easy prey to be thrown out, And so, it's hard to switch your mindset. It's almost like those matches where there aren't pinfalls. You're so used to a pinfall that you automatically put someone down for a pinfall, and there's no pinfall in the match.
Right.
So I think this is going to be a real challenge for those who are used to being high flyers and those who depend a lot on acrobatics and a lot of things from the top rope or, bouncing off the ropes and things like that. It's going to be a real challenge for them.
I mean, well, let's face it. You can't really be acrobatic and flying all over the place when you have 30 people in the ring. Who are you going to land on? Where are you going to land? Are you going to hurt yourself?
Hopefully not outside.
Right. So, but you can't really do flips and all kind of things. I mean, it just doesn't work. It has to be more of a force type situation where you have to push, pull, anything that you can do to get people out of your way and out of the ring. I don't think all these sweet, cool moves. I mean, yeah, you could probably do them, but who's going to see them? They're going to be looking at everything else,
Well, and that again is where this match calls for a different level of strategy, which is why you can't count out, anyone who you may not normally see in SHW, because this match isn't about pinfalls until we get to the very, very end. And by the time we get to the end, you're naturally trained to go after the pinfall, and you have a better chance of pinning that opponent who's been through all sorts of havoc and chaos throughout the RumbleJack. So I'm excited because, again, the possibilities here really are endless, and we have no clue who could really walk out of here as the number 1 contender.
Oh man. And here's the thing, as we tend to do, we do go off on tangents, and that's my fault that
Sorry.
time. No. I take the blame on that one. But we mentioned the three other matches in addition to the
Oh,
RumbleJack
yes,
match.
that's where we were.
The championship match, the tag title match, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention in the women's division, Reka Tahaka, who, from everything I can tell, has kind of taken Danny Jordan's place as the, dare I say, as the queen of SHW. I mean, that's how it looked at the last show. But she'll be taking on SHW newcomer Angelica Risk, who we know from the Nightmare Factory, graduated not too long ago from there, under the training of QT and Cody and Glacier. So some great teachers there. We've seen her in action a little bit. She's no slouch at all. Yeah,
No
she's
slouch.
new. Yes, she's young, but she's no pushover. So, but Reka Tahaka, we didn't think Danny was a pushover, and Reka Tahaka kind of made short work. So Angelica Risk might just be coming in on a bad night.
You know, I've got an unpopular opinion.
Do tell.
I'm going to freak Diana out right now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look, she's getting mad already. But I think the time has come for us to all hail the queen of SHW. And her name is Reka Tahaka. I know some people will say it's too soon. It's not too soon. Listen, when wars happened and the king was overthrown, there was nobody saying, I don't know if we should call him the new king or not. He became the new king, whether we like it or not, until somebody takes her off the throne. Reka Tahaka is the new queen of SHW. So just like I refer to some others as guest, I will be referring to her as Queen Tahaka.
Wow. Yeah, I don't have words for that.
I knew she would.
I'm having a hard time. I don't think Danny's gone, but you're right. At the time, right now, the time is now. Reka has taken the spot. I don't know what's going on with Danny. I don't know where she's going to be, if she's going to show. I don't know. Not saying that she can't come and take her spot back. I think it's going to take a whole nother mindset for her, but it's possible. It's possible. That's her home. She built it. Like she said, she built it. And nobody's going to stop her from doing what she does, but Reka did.
And, you know, when we build our homes and someone causes us to leave our homes, some people never come back to their homes.
It's true.
Yeah. So, you know, so to the queen, I say, she's your queen to be.
All right. Well, one thing, too, we talked about in the past couple of weeks.
Is that a Coming to America reference?
There it was. I thought I almost sung it, but I said, nah, I'll save that.
I wanted
Somebody somewhere. She's your queen to be. Yes.
That boy good.
That boy good. Good and terrible. Listen, Queen Tahaka is coming next week. We should give her her crown to put on her head, and perhaps I will sing, she's your queen to be.
Give me the microphone. I would
Queen Tahaka.
I love it.
Hear ye her.
Jesus, you're funny.
What is that, velvet?
What is it, velvet? Yeah.
Anyways, we'll be here all night if we start quoting
I'm
Coming to
telling
America.
you. Holy cow.
But we talked about it the last couple of months. The video we saw after the show last month, Danny walking out of the building, dropping the burn book in the garbage, didn't even say a word, just walked out the exit. What does that mean? Now, Danny has been in the last two RumbleJacks.
She has.
She has not been announced as an entrant. However, as we've said throughout this show, there are a number of slots still open. That doesn't mean she won't be, but that doesn't mean she will be. I don't know. Time will tell. You know, show up next Friday and find out when the rest of us find out.
Absolutely.
I would hope to see her back in SHW. I think we were all a little shocked at we're very shocked at what happened. I think after that video was released, we were all a little bit saddened, a little bit kind of disappointed, like, whoa, what does this mean?
And
Is she gone for good? Is she coming back? Like, what does it mean? So I would like to see her back. I just don't know if we'll see her back at the RumbleJack.
And here's what's equally scary. Queen Tahaka has not uttered a word.
has she had to?
This is my point.
Yeah.
When you are on the throne, you need not tell anyone that you are on the throne. You reign supreme. And her kingdom begins next Friday. And I think it's risky for Miss Risk to show up in this version of the SHW Queendom.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I feel like I'm all excited to see new people make their debuts.
I am too.
I just don't know if Angelica Risk picked a good night to make her debut.
Yeah.
We'll see, but
We will see.
I could be totally wrong.
I'll tell you what, though.
I don't
yeah,
think I am.
yeah. I don't know. But this is going to make for an interesting Friday next week. If Danny will show up at all, is she really done? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, do we want to, before we wrap things up, because we're getting towards the end here?
Yeah.
Do we dare pick our picks for the RumbleJack?
Why not? It can't hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're supposed to be unbiased journalists, unbiased commentators.
Yes.
But, on the podcast, we kind of let loose a little bit. So, yeah, let's do a little pick'ems here. Who do we think? Diana, do you have a pick? Would you like to go first?
I don't have a pick. I don't know. I don't have. I cannot nail down one person that I would say is going to win this RumbleJack. Hands down, in my mind, this is my guy, girl, whoever. Out of 30 plus people, some I don't even know about. I don't have a pick. I'm excited. I want to see how it unfolds, what's going to happen, who's going to show up, who's going to do their thing, who's going to shock the world. I have no pick. I'm just going to be.
Okay. Fair enough. GB?
It's funny. Every moment I think I have a pick, then I think of someone else that could potentially. I mean, like, you really do have several odds-on favorites. And so I'll just name a couple of the odds-on favorites in my mind, right? Obviously, Joe Black, the previous winner, could make history and become the first two-time RumbleJack winner. I think we have to talk about Judas. Here's a guy who I believe has been in the shadow of Corey Hollis for far too long. Say it again.
How is that possible?
Isn't it? He's the one that casts the shadows, yet he has been in the shadows. And I think, seeing that we have not heard Corey Hollis's name mentioned, if we don't have a Corey Hollis here, and Corey Hollis actually said on a video, I think after the last show, that he's done all that there is to do. What else is there for him to do? If this is his opportunity to step to the side and allow Judas to fully step forth and do what he could do, we could be talking about Judas as the winner of the RumbleJack. And I got to tell you, Cyrus is a problem. In my mind's eye, the way my mind works, this could be a massive night for the name we don't like to mention, Logan Chase. Can you imagine Logan Chase leaves RumbleJack managing the tag team champions, and Logan Chase and Cyrus becomes the number one contender? That could happen. And boy, would we never hear the end of that. Never. I don't know. And here's another name we haven't talked about, but I think he could actually do it. Owen Knight.
Yeah.
I know the chips are stacked against him because he's number one, but history is on his side because number two has the same amount of chances as number one. And it was the number two entry in the first RumbleJack, that being Corey Hollis, who came back to win the whole thing. Owen Knight could do it. And again, to me, what a story. Owen Knight goes through a horrible year of being robbed and being, taken advantage of, being cheated and mistreated, and could potentially walk out of the RumbleJack as the number one contender. He made it to the second to the last person last year. And again, that changed his career. Yeah. I think this could be the night for him. Can you imagine it coming down to, again, Owen Knight and Joe Black?
Ooh.
It could happen, folks.
Oh, it could happen. And here's the thing, as we mentioned before, anything can happen in this type of a match. The possibilities are endless.
They are.
And my pick, our pal from Kind Punk Films, Nathan Mowry. Come on, buddy. I'm pulling for you.
Yeah, man.
Stranger things have happened. It's pro wrestling.
Listen.
Things happen all the time.
All the time.
And it's all a matter of number placement. I don't know what number he'll enter.
It is.
But perhaps he enters towards the end. And all the heavy lifting has been done.
And remember, you don't win the RumbleJack, again, I say, based on how many people you throw out.
Yeah.
It's about who survives at the end. So Nathan does not have to do a bunch of moves. He just has to be there in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And once he's there, he's got a 50-50 shot at that point.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think his chances could be
Definitely
good.
think he's going to last longer than he did last year.
I would agree with that.
I would think with the little bit of training he's had this year, because you got to remember last year, he had no training going into it. Right. I won't even really call this training, but the only experience he had prior to that was, again, being put through a table at one of it might have been our third show. It was I don't remember if it was a ladder, it might have been a TLC match, or it might have just been a hardcore match, whatever it was. Tables, ladders, chairs were all involved between Sunny Days and Kevin Ryan. And Nathan was a camera guy at the time. Wrong place, wrong time, accidentally ate a spear on the outside from Sunny Days through a table. That was his only real experience, if you want to call it that. And then he shows up, and then he shows up at the RumbleJack, and then goes through a table again. So, this time he's actually got a little bit of training. Yeah. Again, Luther from AEW, who's we know has been training folks down at the Nightmare Factory. So. I'm just saying, I think Nathan could shock everybody.
He could shock the world.
Why not?
Why not? So we will see. And, of course, you got to join us next Friday, August 6th, SHW 30, the third annual RumbleJack. And tickets will go on sale at the door starting at 5:30. Doors open at 7:30, bell time at 8:30. And we can't wait to see you guys there. Did I say that right?
Is it 8:30 or 8 o'clock?
8:30? I thought it was 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
5 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Man, I got way off.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Like, did something happen?
I'm just going to leave this in there. I could edit it out, but I'm going to leave it in.
Our faces are like, huh?
7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I'll be there at 8:30, but GB and Diane will be there at 8. I don't know where I'm going to be. No, I'll be there. Anyway, I'm so excited. I'm just getting my numbers all mixed up.
Yeah.
SHW 30, third annual RumbleJack.
Yes.
See, the 30 is what threw me off.
That's what it is.
5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Just be there.
Yeah.
And you won't miss out on the action.
Hang out. It's fun.
Yeah. Come early. People like to show up at tailgate. Hopefully we'll have good weather. Come early.
And soon, like before the show, she can
Oh, the merch stand. Yes. Hit the merch stand.
Right.
Go see Diana.
And see Diana's got new merch.
I saw that. Where's the lip gloss?
Look
right?
At that. So tell us the power of this new lip balm.
It keeps your lips from being dry and crusty.
Boom.
Perfect. That's all you need.
There it is.
Vanilla flavored.
Sold.
Smells good.
I'll be getting mine next Friday.
As will I.
So once again, let me just redo this so we make sure we get it right. Tickets go on sale 5 o'clock at the door. You notice I held up 5 when I said 5:30?
You did.
Anyways.
I was like, okay.
Should do the pre-show at 7.
Yes. You guys, I'm tripping. I'm just excited. That's all.
Yeah.
Tickets on sale at 5. Doors at 7, as well as the pre-show. We'll be out right here on the Facebook page doing the pre-show, and we'll be all amped up. And then the bell time is at 8 o'clock, and you guys are not going to want to miss it. I'm telling you. But hey, until then, this has been
SHW.
This is our wrestling.
All right.
She's your queen to be.
What is that? Velvet?
Velvet?